on August 1st, 2022, at the town hall upstairs. A motion to adopt the agenda. Please. Do we have a second? Okay. Do we have any changes or anything? No, I'm okay.
Yeah. You know what, to make an exception?
I didn't hear, please.
She wanted us in executive session. What's that?
Yeah, can you add to the, agenda, executive session?
Okay. We'll put that in.
Excuse me, I didn't hear that at all.
Executive session, we want to add executive session between 10 and 11 for personnel matters.
So as per usual, personnel is not an adequate reason to go into executive session. However, it is possible to go into executive session for the purpose of employing, hiring an employee. So Wendy, for the record, that's section BSA Title I, section 313, subsection 1(3). It is the best practice to quote the statute under which we are going into executive session.
What she said.
Okay, so we have a motion in second. Okay, adding that to the agenda.
Yeah.
So then all in favor?
Right.
Opposed? Okay. We have the minutes of. This was the last meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
So, when the same citing needs to take place for the executive session that we went into on July 18th, please.
And do you have the times? Did you see where I highlighted the times that were missing? I haven't had it in front of me, but it's on the last page, I think.
So what are we doing? What are we adding to the minutes?
We're only adding the citation that applied to the current agenda because it's for the same thing. I'll just read it for the minutes. The employment of the employee, provided the public body shall make the final decision to hire in an open meeting and shall explain the reasons for its final decision during the, that's the section we're invoking for the executive session, and we did so on July 18th.
Are there any other additions or corrections to the minutes?
There's no timestamps in there.
I don't know.
Okay, then I'll leave them out. That's
Yeah.
fine.
I don't know the finding. I don't remember. Are there any other additions or corrections?
I just want to thank Wendy for these excellent minutes. There are a lot of moving parts in that meeting.
We don't have a motion on the floor. Somebody will make a motion to accept the minutes.
So, second,
There's no other discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay. Highway report.
now we have the minutes of the July 25th meeting.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so we have the minutes of July 18th. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
Yes, Mr. Chair, on page 1, the last line before the bullet parts, delete the word rambling.
Delete the word what?
Rambling.
Little as I know about taking minutes, which is very little, I don't think it's supposed to add editorialize. I caught that too. It was about me. I did find it offensive, but minutes aren't supposed to be editorialized.
Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes on the 18th? I'm sorry, thank you. If not, somebody make a motion to accept the minutes as amended. We have a second?
Oh, I'll say.
Okay. You got that one? Second.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Highway report. FEMA, do we have any updates on FEMA or is that just, I know Bill puts it there every week, but. Nothing.
I haven't heard anything. I checked my emails and I'm on the chain.
The only thing I know, Joe, is that the final project will be started next week, which is
The farm project.
FEMA,
Oh, okay,
which is the Leadville Bridge.
okay. Mike, do you have anything?
We're pretty much just continuing with mowing and grading and hauling some sand in. I did put a call into our salt suppliers to try to get a price, and at this point, nobody has a price. So waiting to hear back and we decide, okay, so.
I got one quick thing. I was asked the other day, somebody in town, what the status of the bridge. I honestly didn't have an answer for them or a good one.
I don't know, maybe.
Which one did you say?
It's status.
Anybody know about status of the bridge?
Yes, I'll tell you the status of the bridge. All the right of ways have been signed and the checks are being cut right now. At the end of August, the town will have a chance to review the plans and ask questions. And it will go out to bid 11/9/22 for work to be done in 2023.
It's definitely gonna happen.
Next year.
It was not a snag in the bid.
Here, do that, November, you said?
Would that be, and they're gonna do it the end of August, right? They're gonna have a meeting?
Well, I didn't mention the meeting to her, she mentioned, so I asked her about when the plans would be done, and that's when she told me they would be done. And they would be sent to us, so I thought we'd wait till we get them sent to us, so we could go from there and then schedule a meeting, because I think that was in the plans. Okay.
I think it'd be a good idea to have a meeting once you have the final design of the bridge.
Ask you questions.
Sure.
Our share, town share, seems to be a little bit vague, but it's going up all the time as the cost of the project is going up. It looks, at least from an outside point of view, that we're gonna have to pass a bond issue in order to pay our share of the multi-million-dollar bridge. What happens if the people of the town say no?
Well, you don't have to have it, don't need a bond, I don't think. We can go out and get financing.
We can research both,
Yeah,
but one way or another, we're going to have to finance, whether it be a bond or.
Yeah, that's obvious, you have to find it somewhere. So does the voting populace get a vote when we go to a bank, for instance, to get funding?
no, I don't believe so.
No.
We
And
better go that way then.
And it's my understanding, if for whatever reason, the town says not to go forward with the project, then we're obligated to pay costs up to that time. And then the bridge becomes ours. So if the next week or the next month or the next year there's a flood and something happens to that bridge, then the town has to pay 100% of the cost of replacement. That's
We're told we thought to make a lot of money.
pretty good, I guess.
They can't get through.
So, okay, anything else for Mike or anything on the highway?
You guys did the hydro seeding, like in front of your house, and you see the leaves that are.
Sure have, I look right there. We don't know what happened there, honestly.
No, I'm gonna cut the weeds down because that's,
In front of my house,
well, no, that's a whole length.
they grow pretty fast, we'd have to do it weekly. It's,
They're taller than, they're like.
well, in front of one place they are, because they don't mow lawn, but
can I ask a question? What is the difference between when do you decide to hydro seed and when do you just like, you always hydro seed when you do a project?
we kind of have been.
but that's the way to go, no more throwing the seeds and putting the mulch on, it's always hydro seeding then.
Pretty much.
Okay,
So we don't use the hay mulch anymore because it's hard to come by, it's expensive.
okay, just wondering.
Okay, there's no more. Kim, do you have anything?
Nope, I don't, yeah, actually, just reminder that August 15th is first tax payment due. They're rolling in, and also a reminder that, the primaries are being held next Tuesday upstairs here. Voting is from 9 to 7, and I'm hoping to see, other than I think Rich and Suzanne already said they will not be here for counting. At 7 o'clock sharp,
I will be here.
When's that?
next Tuesday night,
No.
7 o'clock. You won't be anything.
I will.
Okay, Kathy, you will be? That's all I got.
Hiring committee? You guys want to defer to executive sessions or is something you want to speak?
No, we can wait till executive session.
Okay.
I have a question that I don't think belongs in the executive session. I just wondered, for the minutes of the July 18th meeting, there's a reference to Bill will edit the advertisement for the position and run it 3 times in August in the Shopper and the Vermont Journal. I just wondered what the results of that additional advertising were.
The advertisement did not go forward.
Fine.
I'm not gonna answer that question because I don't really know. It was supposed to.
We don't overdo that. Well, I think we need an explanation of why it didn't go forward if the select board acted on it and it's in the minutes.
Like I said, I don't have a good explanation for you. All I know is it was not advertised and we moved forward. It wasn't, it wasn't my choice to pull the plug on it. It just didn't happen.
Oh, I don't understand, Rich. This was agreed upon by the select. It is reflected in the minutes of the select.
I agree.
Someone is accountable for not carrying through the direction of the select board. This is a matter of good governance. I would really like to understand how this happened. Is someone here familiar with how this happened?
No?
Do think probably the ad is going to run in August. It'll be for the 3 weeks in August, beginning Friday.
Yeah, the ad is gonna run, I know that.
It is gonna run. And it'll take us to the last
Yeah.
week of August.
You're right, Suzanne. You're absolutely right. It was the wishes of the select board to run it whatever day we met. It was the wishes of the select board to run it Friday of that week, I believe, so it would go in the following Wednesday.
Yes.
And that did not happen for various reasons.
That's just not acceptable.
Well, so then I don't know how to answer the question when nobody knows here that do it.
Well,
Just something you
the
want.
decision was made that there was a better way of doing it.
Who had the authority to make that decision and overturn a select board decision? Not follow through on a.
There's 5 of us. There's 5 of us that weren't made.
I remember distinctly, I remember distinctly the discussion was that we would place the ad on Friday. It would run on Wednesday and it would, Kim actually made the point in our discussion about how long it would run, et cetera, et cetera. It was the clear direction from the select board that this occurred. I don't think we should be in the business of overturning select board decisions.
Honestly, Suzanne, I
Either
couldn't agree
unilaterally
with you.
by some sidebar agreement.
Honestly, Suzanne, I couldn't agree with you more. This time we did get lucky though, because I think it's going to work out fine, but that's not the point. It's the principle of the thing. I think we need,
are you having a sidebar discussion?
No, I'm trying to look at the minutes to
Oh,
see
okay.
what they
It's
read.
on page, right, when
It's the last page.
the last page, of page 4. It says Kearns will edit the advertisement for the position and run it 3 times in August.
Okay, so 3 times in August, so we will run 3 times in August, so.
So it wasn't the spirit of what we had this, Suzanne is exactly, is 100% exactly right. It wasn't the spirit of what the select board wanted moving forward. That being said, I think drag the dead horse enough, and let's try to do better the next time. I think it's I think it's come to light.
But
I think
we
it's
are
come to
the
light, so.
elected, we are the elected legislative and executive body of this town. When we vote to take an action, that action is not subject to anyone turning that decision
Yeah,
around.
it's gonna happen in August, so I don't understand what. So it didn't go the first week, but it's going to be in August, so, I mean.
The spirit of the conversation, Suzanne is 100% right, and that's all I'm saying.
Whether we had actually received any further applicants, because that was the intent of the select board, to receive applicants in the interim while they're in the hiring process. So I think this is an egregious, and I want this spelled out in the record. I think this is an egregious failure with no one stepping up and taking it. So end of discussion, we need to move on and not belabor the
Committee reports, the cemetery. We have not got a confirmation from Mr. Dowd. Yes, he said his wife is gonna do it, but we have not got a confirmation, so we'll have to continue to work on that. And, once we get his confirmation, then there is a possibility that his neighbor would also be willing to, I don't know if it's donate or sell, some additional land. So we will follow that up. And as soon as we get confirmation of the additional land, if that is the case, then we will, put out for bid the logging or the clearing of the land along with the fencing and all the necessary things that will be enlarged the cemetery. So that's where that stands. Hope and pray that we come through and we will give us a definite, then we'll have to get the survey from DiBernardo and all those wonderful things that have to take place. So it's in the works.
So Joe, did you say, I'm sorry, my part, that previous discussion? Did you say that Mr. Dowd has responded to?
No, he has not responded. We met with him, he said he was gonna talk to his wife, but he's not. John stopped over, he's not give us any definite answers, so maybe he's away or something, so we'll have to, I'll follow that up with him.
Thank you.
The highway committee,
The traffic ordinance, I don't know if Rich has looked at it, I've looked at it, where it's just a few things I think we're gonna decide what we wanna do, so I would suggest at the next meeting that we apply for this program, see how we wanna,
okay,
that kind of thing.
We have.
Did you, I didn't see the new one. That was from 2 weeks ago, right? Yeah, okay, yes, I did see that.
Is there a draft of the ordinance? I didn't see it in my email.
Well, these are not new ones, these are the ones that we've had from a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay. I think, John, if I could just grab one from you after.
Yeah, those, like the intersection down on Chamber Four. Ever decide that we want to keep it like it is, and that's gonna be changed. All the side roads, like, the Bell Road coming out into Oakville, you want stop sign in there, and you be back drive, or why don't you go? Things like that.
thinking about it. Section. A lot of people don't, they yield, but they don't know where they're yielding to. Like if you're a local, you know, just yield for the other people to come off the bridge if they're going left or right, and then you build the bridge. A lot of people that don't know that, they're on the bridge, they wait for the other person on 121 to make sure that.
Things are going to decide. No, that's-
We still think about a public forum type thing, because I thought that's what you were saying last night. Like a public forum type thing, where signs are going. Didn't you mention that last time?
No, I said, I think Bill mentioned that after you come up with the regulations of where the stop signs are gonna be and not be or whatever, and what the speed limits, then you should have a formal meeting of the residents, because somebody might not wanna have a stop sign there. I mean, I'm not saying you should listen, but I think you need to give them the opportunity to speak up.
So Joe, to that point, for the next meeting, could we actually publish with the agenda and the minutes, the copies of those traffic ordinances so that people will have a chance to look at them?
Well, if you don't wanna publish these are the old ones.
Things are the old ones.
Yeah, you don't wanna publish the old.
Okay, so what amendments are being recommended, and do we have documentation of those?
There's none being recommended in this. Never my recommendation. Some of them, I'll look for the rest of the board recommendations. So I think the five of us should get together and go over the whole thing
Okay,
and come up with one recommendation for you to change.
okay. So once we get the recommendations, Joe's.
Yes, that becomes public,
Okay.
but these are the old ones, so no sense.
Yeah, 2 weeks
Okay.
ago.
At least that.
No, that's not fair.
The Parks Committee, does anybody know about anything about the grant?
The last I checked, Joe, we had not received word about the grant, but I do want to mention that on the August 15th agenda, I would like to suggest that we put the item about the driveway and the porta potty pad. As you know, GIA has been very generous in donating a porta potty for the village park, and did I misstate that?
Well, paying for it.
Paying.
We don't own one to give you.
Got it.
We probably
Correct me.
should.
They're paying, GIA is very generously paying for the porta potty. And we need a pad for it to go on, and I think that, we should just have an agenda item to talk about.
Okay, I will do that, Suzanne. Personnel,
I have nothing, still have to meet with Bill.
okay. We have the building committee report. But I would like to, I did email all the select board over the weekend. I would like to make a motion that we, add back the closet for $1,650. Which we have the funds, and I think by having the closet, it will make the town look better rather than Ken going out and buying some metal cabinet to put there, because we have the money. It's not even a stretch. So I'd like to make a motion that we add to the contract, assuming that you approve the contract, the closet for $1,650. Does anybody have a second for that one?
I'll second that. Yeah, no, we can discuss.
Okay. All right.
Joe, when you say that the funding is completely available, could you explain how you come to that conclusion?
Well,
What are the,
I
how
don't
do you
have,
get
I
those
don't
numbers?
have the numbers because I don't have them with me, but Kim, you have them. We have 5, what do we have? 11,000 in the,
Right, if we were to count the 10,000 that's in the reserve from the Wyndham Foundation from several years ago, and we count the capital budget of 11,200. That right there will more than cover 1,650. The estimate that we had worked on this today, 126,754 from all seasons, and that's without the bathroom and the closet. And then we added in what could be an estimated for James and James Countryside, the 200 amp from Lower and Lawrence and Lower. the floor outlet, the exit signs, the conduit, and then the remainder of the 20,000 we owe the engineer. And the 36,000 we've already spent. That would bring us to 198,000. If we add in the bathroom, we'll be at $200,046.84.
Do you mean add in the closet?
If we added in the closet, we'll be at 200,046.84. And we have available from ARPA funds. 201,000 is my sheet. So we'll be just sweeping by using just our ARPA funds, but yes, the 11,002 is there, the 10,000 from the Wyndham
Right.
Foundation, and the possible 10,000 that could be.
And so it wouldn't, and I know there was a quick discussion about depleting the capital budget and spending all the money out of the thing. You wouldn't be doing any of that, so the funds would still be there. And I think in the scheme of things, you're gonna have a nice town hall that's all been fixed up and everything else, and to have some metal cabinet sitting out there in the lobby when they can be a closet, I think for $1,650, it's a bargain.
I think we, Kathy and I have discussed this and actually our recommendation was also to take off the closet. Honestly, I would say folding on that, but compromising on that, if you will. That pretty much depletes everything that we have in the ARPA funds, like you say. And we were going through quite the list of still things that need to be done, and we're still in the process of trying to prioritize things. And we get quite a little list. And so that's why we were really recommending to spend down the ARPA funds as we are doing, and really not touch too much else right now and see how this all shakes out. Because there's still 2 or 3 things out there that we don't know exactly what the figures will be. All of these things that Kim just said, she's correct. Bill seems to think a couple of them may come under budget. It's almost a miracle these days if anything comes under budget. So we may pick up a little more. And the only other thing, we don't know what the digging will be. And we're pretty much even. That's all we got.
But with the closet, you still
We're
have
just
not
about even.
depleted
Yeah.
ARPA funds, and that leaves you
No.
the 10, and the 11. So we still have plenty of money, which
For the projects you're facing, you don't have many months. I mean, so I think get down to the weeds as far as,
What's that?
do we need to get in the weeds as far as like with the foundation money, how we're gonna appropriate it, or?
The Wyndham Foundation, the 10,000 has to do something
With the ADA.
with the ADA.
Yeah, okay,
The 10 that we've already had in our possession. The other 10 is assuming we're gonna get it. It's not promised. It's
it was if we needed it.
just
I
that.
read it.
so Kathy and I really didn't even take too much consideration into the additional money. But if it does come in, we think that we could apply that to some of the ADA stuff, then back out some of that ESSER money.
Well, the $10,000 that you had in reserve from the Wyndham Foundation
That's good.
needs to go to
Right.
the elevator.
And we're saying that even if we get additional money, that should go on some of the ADA
Right.
issues
Yeah.
also.
Exactly.
Then we can take out some of the other ESSER money. Is it ESSER with this one?
That's our school school.
There's so many acronyms, it's ridiculous. I mean, there's a list here that I have of things that need to be done that really should be priority.
What's the total?
We're just making up the list at this point.
Tim just gave you the total.
Oh, no, this is said and done.
Projects.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we don't know, but keep in mind that the capital budget and the money that's in the budget to the town hall is supposed to go for repairs and maintenance of the town hall. That's why it's in there.
But the list that we have, that list is a 5-year list that was started. it hasn't
Right.
been
It's
addressed
significant.
or completed.
And it will exceed whatever funds we
It's
have
gonna
right now in capital. Capital had stopped for a few years once we completed the restoration project and the installation, and then we stopped funding it.
Right.
Because,
Because we got the ARPA money.
no, even before that, we had stopped funding it because we had completed the installation, so the 11's been sitting there on hold. But with some of the projects that are coming up to keep them active, you might, a recommendation might be to the committee to discuss putting money again into
Right.
town hall restoration and start building it again if you hear the list that Rich has.
It is pretty significant, and I was actually talking to the carpenter this morning that, fixed up our deck out there. He pulled it apart the best he could, to try to go underneath and see what was wrong with it. There's 2x4s down there, they're not rotted, but he said they're heading in that direction quick. All of the hangers are all rotted out from the screws, they just kind of hanging in. He pieced everything together the best he could. And, he said, it might be good for another year or two. So that is a project that's probably gonna be a priority. And we still have the cement out there that's chipping away, and someone did trip and fall on it. So I don't know, I mean, that should probably be the priority in a lot of these things.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to add it back to the 126,000. Well, whatever the contract is. Yeah, it would be 126,754 plus 1650, correct?
Right, 1650. And would you just restate, Kim, when we add that 1650 back in, what would be the total amount expected to spend on the town hall restoration?
So the total for all seasons contract only, adding the 1,650 for the closet would be $128,404. And that contract would be dated for August the 2nd. And that's what we'll go through, go with, and submit that to them so they can order the actual mechanism for the lift.
And then you also quoted a figure of, well, I think slightly more than the expected amount from ARPA for the total cost, including the expenses that we've already.
I'm estimating, and like I said, this is an estimation from, we don't even know what Jamie's is. And everything's coming out, the figures are rounded. I'm coming out with $200,046.84 for the project without Jamie's digging for the 200 amp.
Okay.
And coming in from ARPA funds is 201,000.
I really think that's what Kathy and I really got at a sticking point with, which there was quite a few of the items that we were estimating. And until everything all shakes down, I mean, we thought this was a more conservative approach. But we think it's a fiscally responsible
Yeah,
approach to it.
the other thing is, once I get into this project, if there's some surprises, that's gonna elevate the cost. So you've gotta have some kind of a buffer there for that. And see what is, Rich said, it shakes out the final cost.
So what is your final recommendation then?
Uh,
Not final, I don't mean to put it that way. What is your recommendation for how to proceed?
that we back out the bathroom cost. Kathy and I are fine. This is an enlightened, comment. We are fine with the closet. And, that's our recommendation, to accept the contract from all seasons with the bathroom backed up.
And we did talk about, down the road, if there's money left without the surprises. We could get a local person to update that bathroom. It sounds like the cost that they want, 16 plus, is a lot of money for that little bathroom. Only to make it bigger for a wheelchair, quarter of an inch, so I think we could have a lot of savings there.
Then
Yeah,
what?
that one was 11,500.
So if that's your recommendation, if that's the recommendation of the committee, the motion on the floor is that we add back the closet. So let's take a vote on that, and then we have to approve all seasons contract, okay? So there's no other discussion. All in favor of adding back the closet?
Aye.
Aye. Yes? Everybody, was it a unanimous or not?
Yeah, I'm voting in favor of it because the building committee recommended it.
Okay, so that takes the closet. Now we need a motion to accept the all seasons contract, which is what, 128, 400? Huh?
404.
404. Somebody want to make that motion?
I'll second.
I don't think we need more discussion unless you want to. So all in favor of approving the all seasons contract, which is included, which adds back the closet for 128,404.
You want to add, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the agenda, you want to add in to make sure to authorize someone to execute the contract or Bill recommended?
Yeah, we have to execute the contract and then,
Okay,
and authorize, I guess, since Bill's not here, I guess authorize myself to sign the contract.
Right.
So if that motion is okay, everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Then Ken, what has to happen, somebody's got to contact all season and they have to send the amended second page. Or adding
And I'll
that back.
have this downstairs for you to sign.
Yeah, okay, great.
Before we get off this, how would the chair like to build a committee to proceed as far as recommendations, as far as some of the loose ends that are gonna be coming up in the next few years?
Well, you have you're on the agenda every week, so why don't you, we decide what you want to bring up and we can talk about that as we go. I would,
Fair enough.
I agree with Joe. I think it would be very helpful to see a list of the projects that you have identified, even if you don't have a cost figure associated with them, and the priority that you and Kathy think they ought to be in. And
and
the
then
higher the priority, the more we need closer to an estimate.
and then my recommendation, I would sit down at some point, because we're coming to budget time soon, with Hardy. So that if some of these items, I don't know what the cost or what they want to be, we should start adding to the capital budget.
Fair enough.
We haven't done that, maybe we need to start doing that, whatever that takes to do.
Now, also, I'd just like to bring up the point about what is our guidance in terms of the use of the ARPA funds? To my understanding, we've always said that the $202,000 approximately we're going to receive from are dedicated to the restoration of the town. And that we wouldn't spend any more than that on the restoration of the town hall. All the other expenses are going to be associated with the capital budget, the town budget. And what I'd like us not to do is think that the town budget and the capital budget are available to us to spend on the restoration. Well, I think we should set, I don't know exactly how to do this. I would yield to Rich and Kathy for your advice about how to, should we set a cap of the ARPA funding as the amount we're going to spend on town hall restoration? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that is Kathy and I's recommendation, that we wanted to stay within that. So I do think we're there, if that's what you're saying.
So I'd be willing to make a motion that says something like, to the extent possible, the intent of the select board is to stay within the amount of ARPA funding, namely $201,785 for the expenses associated with restoration of the town hall.
No, you can't do that because you have 10,000 from the rest of it.
Do you mean restoration or do you mean the handicap accessibility?
Yeah.
I think we said that ARPA was just for the handicap accessibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
The restoration of the whole building.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thanks for that.
And the money that is in the capital budget and the money that is put into the yearly budget is for the maintenance and restoration of the town hall.
Right, building that by the building.
And you will have, if the numbers are right and you're on, and come out of 200,000, you'll still have $10,000 over on the ARPA fund that you haven't spent. Because you must use the $10,000 for the foundation, and that's what it's for.
It's what goes
So
in.
you will still have additional money. And I think it would be foolhardy to make a motion to strangle the hands of the committee or the board on the restoration of the town hall, because you're talking about two different things. Talking about handicap, and then you're talking about fixing, and we've been doing that over the last, what, 5 years, 4 years now?
Yeah, longer than that, yeah.
I mean, we've made windows, we've made air conditioning,
That's
installation, and all those
That's-
kinds of things.
historical preservation payments. And we had to go by their guidelines, and then we got a lot of money to do the roof and the windows. The biggest thing on that list, I think, is the ramp, has to be a covered walkway out on
Fire escape.
the fire escape.
Actually, it's both. Bill said this afternoon, I talked to him at 4:15, it's not only this one, it's the one going out, the other options, they need to be undercover.
Do we have an estimate on that, Kim?
No. No,
I think that if we're gonna characterize things as foolhardy, I think that it's also foolhardy to think about exhausting all of the other funds we have as we think about this project. Because things will come up, to Kathy's point, there will be things that come up, we don't know. And I understand that the motion to set the cap is maybe not the best way to do it, that's why I asked about that question. But I do think we should be clear about our intent is not to spend all of the money, including the 11,239 for capital, and the perhaps gift of the Wyndham Foundation on the handicap.
But that's actually how Kathy and I thought of it also, to be totally honest with you. We didn't want to deplete that capital, we were calling it the capital reserve for an emergency. Just for that reason, in case we happen to get an emergency.
but I think.
So I think we're all in agreement.
But I think we're losing sight. There are actually two projects going on here. One is the handicap accessibility, and the other is upgrading the power. So upgrading the power is not, is in the total cost. But you're really doing two projects. It's not, updating the power has nothing to do with the handicap facility upgrade.
You don't need the extra power to power the elevator?
Well, we are, with the air conditioning, we are done at the maximum of amperage. And we have an antiquated 100 amp service.
So what I'm saying is we're doing it for the elevator.
No, well, again,
I think the elevator kind of just pushed us to the
Right,
point
pushed
we
it
have
over.
to. It's been a need, a suggested for quite a few years. And now between the heat pumps and the elevator coming in, you need the 200 amps to do it.
That's an excellent point.
Mostly all your
Bringing that up.
residential is 200 amps now, so
Yeah.
this was old fashioned for sure.
We also remember, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Kim, that when the auditor spoke to us about the use of the ARPA funds, a lot of the original, this is what we're going to do with the money and you're going to be audited on that, is now gone.
The restrictions were lifted
Thank
in the second phase,
Right.
and you can pretty much use it for whatever you like, and us being such a small town, it'll be okay. And that's where we could definitely take 10,000 that is in the reserve from the Wyndham Foundation, add that to it, and that'll leave us 10,000 extra for the ARPA to do
For that,
water
But-
restoration.
But to the point made that we're doing two projects with this, we are,
There we are.
but we're all right. It's okay for us to do that because the restrictions have been lifted.
Yes.
okay, can we move on?
We had a motion.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yes.
All in favor of the motion to accept the contract for $128,404? Say aye. Both?
It's for the rich and happy.
Yeah, but I think your job now, you need to be figuring out the next phases.
Yep.
That
Fair
will
enough.
not be covered under any ARPA money, but be covered by capital budget or other, or the town, for the town hall.
Okay.
That's something, and you can bring that list to us, and we'll go from there.
Begin, all right.
All right, wastewater committee, nothing except, our friend there from the state, Lynn, I forget her last name all the time.
Yeah, Claude.
What's her, you know the name, Claude has, you know the name, Suzanne,
Adele, I think.
the one who does the,
You're in charge of the water project.
I know, but you remember the name? Lynette,
What,
yeah.
Adele,
yeah, whatever.
something along that
All
line.
right, she's no longer gonna be involved with our project. She's been pulled off to do a major something else. So we are gonna have a new person who's gonna be assisting us with the grant. For all I can think.
And 30%, did they say 30% of the information has been gathered or something along that line?
Whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we're losing Lynette, from the state, from the feds,
Thing.
yeah. state.
Is that the one that created some information recently on flow rate?
No, that's the time bomb. This is the bond. Other business? Public comment? Okay. The next regular meeting will be on Monday, August 15th at 6 p.m. here. With the motion to go into executive session. Second? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay. Yeah, so we're going into executive session at 6.
47.
6,
Yeah, so,
and I will try to,
All right.
try to get one now. If Kim or somebody.